This time I'd like to call the regular scheduled board meeting on Tuesday, August 15, 2017. If the record please reflect that it is 7:34. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Bless you.
Trustee Yonker.
Here.
Trustee Panito.
Here.
Trustee Berg. Here. Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Trustee Mangan.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Present. We're all here. Item number 1, this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Mangan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second
Mr.
by Mr.
President.
Yonker. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to table item 12 and refer it back to committee.
When we get to that. When we get to the item.
I can't do it on one?
No, we'll do it.
Because we're doing, okay.
So it was moved by Mr. Mangan and seconded by Mr. Yonker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 2, will somebody please make a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting held on August 1st, 2017.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Berg, seconded by Mr. Yonker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the following consent agenda items. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Mangan. And a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Brady. Madam Clerk, can you please read the consent agenda?
Item A, consider awarding a contract to Outdoor Accents for outdoor holiday decorations at Zabraki Plaza, downtown Tinley, and the Oak Park Avenue train station in an amount not to exceed $19,940.50. Item B, consider approving a professional services agreement with GovTemp USA for provision of Ellen Weber as an interim planner in the Community Development Department. Item C, consider proclaiming September 2017 National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Tinley Park. Item D, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, August 26, 2017 on Coachwood Trail between 6930 and 7018 from 12 o'clock noon to 10 o'clock p.m. Item E, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, September 9th, 2017 in the Barron Court cul-de-sac from 12 o'clock noon to 10 o'clock p.m. Item F, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, September 16th, 2017 on Killarney Court at 8106, including the cul-de-sac, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Item G, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, September 23rd, 2017 on Borme Drive between 16300 and 16425 from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And item H, payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $2,794,923.10, as listed on the vendor board approval reports dated August 4th and August 11th, 2017.
Thank you very much. Are any board members like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Let the record reflect there are none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg. Yes. Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, at this time I have the distinct honor of introducing to the Village of Tinley Park the new Director of Parks and Recreation of the Village of Tinley Park Park District, Mr. Sean Roby. Sean, welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor. Board of Trustee, I've met most of you informally outside of this realm, but I figured it'd be an opportunity to come in here and formally introduce myself. I want to thank the Park District for giving me the opportunity. I am now a resident of the Tinley Park area as well. Fantastic community you have here. It has been a fantastic opportunity at this point. I started on June 5th and took over for the retiring John Curran after 21 years on July 1st. It has been, again, a fantastic run at this point. I've had a couple of meetings with the administrator, conversations about ways to continue our collaborative efforts. I'm a big believer in saving taxpayer dollars whenever possible. So I will continue to look to those collaborative efforts between the village and the Park District, as well as any other entity that may be sharing the tax base with us. So I just wanted to say hello and thank you for the opportunity to come in front of you.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for being here with us. We look forward to continuing a very good relationship that the village has always had with the Park District. So good luck with everything. Let us know if we can do anything for you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Sean.
Very good. Item number 5, trustee Glatz.
I would like to make a motion to consider ordinance number 2017-0-051, granting variations from the village zoning ordinance legacy district to allow for an existing sign to remain in its current location and condition at 6926 183rd Street in the neighborhood flex zoning district.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
The petitioner, Ken Zamparelli of Innovative Decks, is requesting the following variations for an existing ground sign that was altered without a permit. 1, a 2-foot variation from Section 12, 4E of the zoning ordinance to allow a 12-foot tall ground sign where the 10-foot is the maximum allowable height. Number 2, a 10-foot variation from Section 12.4E of the zoning ordinance to allow for a ground sign where the required setback for a ground sign is 10 feet from the property line. And lastly is 3, a 10-foot variation from Section 12 of the zoning ordinance to allow for a ground sign where the required setback for a ground sign is 10 feet from the access drive. The existing sign is 12 feet tall, has a sign face area of 30.5 square feet. It encroaches 2 feet, 6 inches into the public right-of-way and contains a manual changeable copy sign, which is prohibited. The Plan Commission held a hearing on May 4th, 2017, and after consideration of the finding of the facts, voted unanimously 5-0 to deny variation request number 1 and voted 4-1 to approve variation request number 2 and 3. There was considerable discussion at the Plan Commission regarding the need to support a local business, yet conform to the zoning code. There was also testimony that the sign had been altered several times over the years without a permit. The changeable copy portion of the sign is prohibited. The Plan Commission did an excellent job finding a solution to bring the sign into conformance by recommending the height to be reduced to 10 feet and request a right-of-way waiver for the encroachment on 183rd Street right-of-way. Plan Commission also recommended the following conditions for their approval, with the following conditions. 1, a landscape be added to the base of the sign within 60 days of approval from the village board. 2, a manual changeable copy must be removed within 60 days of approval by the board. Number 3, owner would need to sign the public encroachment document as put forth by our Public Works Department of the Village of Tinley Park within 60 days of approval by the village board. Consider directing the village attorney to draft ordinance number 2017-0-051, granting the requested variations 2 and 3 with his constituting first reading.
Thanks, Mike. This is for first reading this evening. Are there any questions at all for Mr. Glatz?
Just so I'm clear, we're talking about approving what the planning commission approved, which is 2 and 3?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. No other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, trustee Glatz.
Hope this one's smaller. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2017-0-042, granting a special use for a new personal wireless security facility cell tower and a 14-foot variation for the maximum height allowance for a cellular tower in the offices and restricted industrial district. This is up for adoption this evening.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Yonker, thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Brian. The petitioner, Kathleen Grook of Insight, as an agent for PI Tower Development LLC, Parallel Infrastructure, and Verizon Wireless, is seeking a special use permit for a new personal wireless service facility cell tower in the southeast corner of 6775 Prosperity Drive in the ORI zoning district. Ms. Grook is also requesting a 14-foot height variation from section 352A of the zoning ordinance to allow for the co-location of antennas for the use of by the village of Tinley Park. By allowing for co-location, the overall height of the cell tower will be 114 feet, 14 feet greater than the maximum allowable height for a personal wireless service facility at 100 feet. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on June 1st and unanimously recommended the approval 6-0 of the special use and variation request with 2 conditions. One, they would like an installation of an 8-foot tall vinyl privacy fence around the ground equipment. And lastly, the final landscape plan must be approved by village staff prior to the release of the building permit. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thanks, Mike. Any comments or questions from the board? Maybe can you give us a little history on, I mean, cell towers are typically a controversial topic here. Can you give us, I know there's plenty of public record on this through the Plan Commission. Can you just give us a brief synopsis so generally what this is?
I think this probably didn't meet a lot of opposition for a couple reasons. One is location, which is not near any residential property. Two, because of the not only public need, but by the village need. We're going to put our antennas possibly on top of it. And I think the fact that the benefit of this will be for a not-for-profit center that provides training for handicapped children, adults actually, in industrial jobs. So I think it was open to the public, had public hearings, but we had no opposition.
Very good. Thanks, Paul. Any other comments or questions from the board? This is up for adoption. Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker?
Yay.
Trustee Panito?
Yes.
Trustee Berg? Yes. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
Trustee Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 7, Trustee Yonker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the board to consider final authorization of a contract with Cargill of North Olmsted, Ohio for bulk road salt for fiscal year 18.
We have a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Proposed contract is for the village annual purchase of bulk salt. The village received 3 quotes as listed below. If the clerk could add those to the record. The village has purchased bulk salt from Cargill in the past, and their service and product have been found to be acceptable quality to the village. The proposed contract price reflects a cost per ton that is at or below the cost that would have been charged to the village as part of the state purchase program administered by the Illinois Central Management Services. The delivery of 5,500 tons of salt is guaranteed under the terms of the contract. This item was discussed at the August 8, 2017 Public Works Committee meeting and recommended for approval.
Thanks, Brian. Clerk, just make sure you have all those 3 of those prices into the record, please. This is an expenditure of funds. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker?
Yay.
Trustee Panito?
Yes.
Trustee Berg? Yes. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
Trustee Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 8, Brian.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like the board considering award for replacement of the chiller at Oak Park Avenue train station to F.H. Passion and S.N. Nielsen Associates of Chicago.
Second?
Thank you.
Funds in the amount of $107,800 were included in the current fiscal year budget for replacement of the chiller at the Oak Park Avenue train station. We will be utilizing the job order contracting procurement method. F.H. Passion is awarded the general contractor that will perform the work under the existing cooperative contract through the city of Naperville. This contract is available to jurisdictions within Illinois. Staff requests the utilization of $96,991.02 for F.H. Passion and S.N. Nielsen and Associates to perform the necessary work in construction, oversight, and replacement of the chiller. F.H. Passion and S.N. Nielsen and Associates have performed work for the village in the past, and their performance was deemed to be satisfactory quality. This item was discussed at the Public Works Committee meeting held on August 8, 2017.
Thanks, Brian. Again, this is an expenditure of funds. Any comments or questions from the board?
Question,
Pardon me, sir.
what is the chiller?
John?
It's an air conditioning chiller.
Air conditioning in the train station,
Yes, sir.
That's what we're discussing. Yes, sir.
which is barely ever open.
I'm not certain if that's the scenario, but I mean, I can certainly discuss, I mean, the facilities manager is right here. He can discuss it with you.
$96,000? Got a question?
Well, the chiller does obviously operate for the facility and the use of any commuters that are in there.
Yeah, my point being is, the train station's hardly ever open. And I don't know why we'd spend $96,000. For those who ever use it when it's open, they should trim and bear it.
Well, I mean, there is currently a tenant in the facility that runs a business out of there. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of Cavallini's or Cavallini's restaurant, no?
Yeah, but it is a train station. You know.
Understandable. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 9. Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the board to consider awarding a contract for replacement of the rooftop air conditioning units, 2 units at the police department, to FH Passion and SN Nielsen and Associates of Chicago.
Second.
Go ahead, Brian.
Funds in the amount of $307,240 were included in the current fiscal year budget for replacement of the rooftop air conditioning units at the police station. We'll be utilizing the job order contracting. FH Passion was awarded general contractor to perform the work under existing cooperative contract to the city of Naperville. This contract is available to other jurisdictions within Illinois. Staff requested utilization of $224,368.10 for FH Passion and SN Nielsen Associates to perform the necessary work and construction and oversight for the replacement of the rooftop units. FH Passion and SN Nielsen Associates had performed work for the village in the past and deemed to be satisfactory quality. This item was discussed Public Works Committee meeting held on August 8th, 2017.
Thank you. Again, we have an expenditure of funds. Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 10. Trustee Yonker.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like the board to consider awarding a contract for preliminary inspection, preparation of bid documents, and technical project management for repairs and painting at Post 2, North and South Ground Storage Reservoirs to Dixon Engineering of Hales Corners, Wisconsin.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Funds in the amount of $500,000 were included in the current fiscal year for repairs and painting for both Post 2 North and South Ground Storage Reservoirs at 183rd and Ridgeland Avenue. Staff requested utilization of $52,290 for Dixon Engineering to perform necessary work, prepare bid specification, and perform necessary construction oversight and work that will be performed at Post 2. Dixon Engineering has performed work for the village in the past, and the work was deemed to be of satisfactory quality. This item was discussed Public Works Committee meeting held August 8th, 2017.
Thanks, Brian. Again, we have another expenditure of funds. Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 11. Again, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the board to consider entering into a professional service agreement with Site Design Group Limited and Farnsworth Group to provide landscape services for construction, maintenance, and design of village landscape.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Manning.
The village issued an RFQ for landscape architect services. 11 proposals were received and 4 firms were selected for additional interviews. Based on committee discussion, it is recommended that the village continues its relationship with Site Design Group and utilizes their team for the public works side of project. It is also recommended that the village enter an agreement with Farnsworth Group, a local firm, to work more on the planning side of projects.
I need a second.
Farnsworth, being a new service contract, agreed to create a schedule of fees that would match Site Design's previously rate schedule. Therefore, both would be providing services for similar costs. This item was discussed Public Works Committee meeting held August 8th, 2017.
Thanks, Brian. Again, we have entering a professional service agreement. Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there is none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
I'm sorry, just one second.
You're right here.
Item 11.
Okay, that's fine. Yes.
The one on your screen.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 12.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have the board consider entering into a professional services agreement with Grafen Development Company to provide a risk construction management and owner's representative services for the construction of Fire Station Number 2.
I'd like to make a motion to refer it back to committee.
Is there a second? Is there a second on the motion to refer back to committee? Call it again. Is there a motion or a second to bring this item back to committee?
Okay,
Like-
I'll do a second.
So there's a roll, right? So this will be a roll call for referencing this item back to committee. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll on that, please?
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 13, trustee Panito.
Consider ordinance number 2000, I'd like the board to consider an ordinance 2017-0-054, amending certain sections of the Tinley Park Village Code and Tinley Park Employee Handbook pertaining to residency for village employees. The Committee of the Whole is recommending a change to the residency.
We need to call the roll, or call the.
Do I have a?
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
The Committee of the Whole is recommending a change to the residency requirement for most full-time, non-union employees to a 30-mile radius requirement. The only position that would continue to have residency requirements are the village manager, police chief, as well as, I guess, potentially the public works director to the list of employees that must maintain residency within the village. This item was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting that was held on Tuesday, August 8, 2017.
So this is up for first reading this evening. Are there comments from the board at all?
I'd like to comment. Being a member of this committee, we worked hard on this. I was against removing the residency requirement, especially for police. However, the police, via their new contracts, no longer have that requirement. Now, logistically, it's become difficult to maintain that for other positions, especially, except for some of the more important ones, just for expedience and based on what appears to be the political will. This seems to be the best compromise on this position.
Thanks, Mike. Again, this is for first reading this evening, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 14, trustee Pino.
Item number 14, I don't know if we want to do this. I had a couple of questions. The final ordinance doesn't match kind of what's on there now. I'd ask for a motion to table this at this time. I'd like to refer it back.
Second.
That's next Tuesday.
So let's refer back to committee then?
Yes,
Back
please.
to what, legal and admin? Is that right? All right, very good. We'll do a roll call on this, please.
Trustee Alker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Motion carries. Item number 15, trustee Brady.
I'd like to the board consider adopting ordinance number 2017-0052, amending certain sections of the Title III, Chapter 32 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code entitled Foreign Fire Insurance Board, pertaining to the authority of the treasurer and replacing the office title of president with chairperson.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
The village participates in the Foreign Fire Insurance Company fees program, which has been established in accordance with the Illinois Statute 65 ILCS 511-10, which requires the funds be received by the FFIB fund, in which they establish the accounts and maintain the fund. These amendments bring the deposit of these funds directly into a separate interest-bearing fund established and maintained by the funds in line with the statute. Further, the title of president, referring to the elected officials of the fund, will be changed to chairperson to be consistent with the statute and other sections of this ordinance. The item was discussed on the August 8th, 2017 Public Committee meeting and recommended for approval. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Bill. Any comments or questions from the board at all? Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Alker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 16. Looks like we're buying a couple things here, Bill.
Yes, sir. I'd like to have the board consider approval for the purchase of a tower ladder truck in the amount of $1,304,508,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The proposed purchase for a new tower ladder truck is added to the fleet of the village's fire department. The proposed purchase would replace a 2000 vehicle that is currently assigned as a reserve ladder truck for the department. Due to the age of the reserve truck, it is approaching the end of its serviceable life for the fire department, and has historically been the case with major equipment purchases of the village's fire department. The cost of the new ladder will be shared between the Village of Tinley Park and the Tinley Park Fire Department Association. The cost of the new ladder truck is $1,304,508. The association proposed to fund 20% of the cost of the vehicle, which is $260,902. The new ladder truck will be purchased through the Houston-Galveston Area Council Purchasing Cooperative. Items purchased through this cooperative have been subjected to a competitive bidding process before they are offered to the members of the municipal conference. Funds for the village share of the purchase have been budgeted and are available for the current fiscal year. The Tinley Park Fire Department Association has already approved their share of the funding. The item was discussed at the August 8, 2017 Public Safety Committee and recommended for approval. So we're asking you to consider approval of the purchase of the tower ladder truck at not to exceed the cost of $1,304,508.
Thanks, Bill. And I believe that there would be less, it would be less as that as well with the trade-in of the vehicle or selling of the vehicle as well. Is that my understanding? That's correct. Thank you. All right, so this is an expenditure of funds. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, Trustee Brady, do we have any idea how much is in the association or where they came up with the 20%?
Chief, I would refer that to you.
I don't have the exact fund amount balance, but that's was standing 20% contribution has been in the bylaws for quite some time. It's a flat fee of 20% to the purchase of capital apparatus purchases.
Thank you.
I mean, and that's a private fund, right? That's through the...
Yes.
Just for the record.
Yes, through the fundraiser.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Question,
Sir?
do we have any statistics or figures as to how many calls this tower truck is used in a year's time?
I would defer to the chief, but I believe it has to do with the amount of years, not according to the service calls, but I would defer to you if you have any further. So I think it has to do with the amount of years, there's service life that the vehicles, there's a standard that's set by probably the Fire Chiefs Association is my assumptions, or...
That's correct. This particular apparatus that we're seeking approval on here is, by the time the new one arrives, will have exceeded its service capacity for the village. It's going to be about 19 years old by the time the new piece of apparatus runs in. As far as the numbers, again, that's a difficult question to answer because it depends on a whole bunch of things related to what companies are in service, what companies are out of service, the types of calls that we have. This particular piece of apparatus responds to all reports of fires, all heavy extrication, all technical rescue, and virtually every type of response that that particular station is due to respond on.
Well, the question would be, you're going to spend $1,304,000 for a tower ladder truck, and apparently we don't know how often a tower ladder truck is used in a year's period of time.
I'm sure that the service numbers can be broken down.
These things got to last for a long time. I remember when I was on the city council in Oak Forest, and we rarely ever replaced any of our fire equipment.
Yes,
because the use of fire equipment in the suburbs is very low.
Thankfully. Thankfully as well. Chief, is there anything that you add to that?
Again, as I said, this purchase, though expensive, our forecast is to have this apparatus last at least another 20 years for the service of the village. So,
very good. Thank you, Chief. Any other comments or questions from the public regarding this item? Yes, sir.
The gentleman's point is a good one. Despite the fact that it's 20 years old, we should be asking, how often has it been used? The ladder itself, what condition is it in? I don't care if it's 30, 40, 50 years old, what condition is it in? You claim it's going to get trade-in value. Well, if some other village is buying it, obviously our currently existing tower ladder truck must be very usable by other municipalities. This idea, I mean, this whole idea of 20 years is a good time to retire the truck. When was that developed?
Well, I don't know if that was a question directed to the chief, but I think that the actual retirement age of the vehicles is a lot less than 20 years, if I remember correctly. It's been a number of,
When was that policy developed, the retirement policy?
That policy is based on a National Fire Protection Association recommendation that has the service life of tower ladder apparatus and aerial apparatus typically not to exceed 15 years of service life for that type of apparatus.
And that was developed when?
The National Fire Protection Association, that has been a national standard for at least a decade or longer.
At least a decade or longer.
And it is also consistent with the department and the village's apparatus replacement policy. And
How much you want to bet that that policy was developed back when vehicles didn't last as long either? The current existing tower ladder truck, we bought it in only 2000. It's been used maybe, I mean, we don't have too many fires in upper levels in our village. It's hardly ever been used. Okay, so you've got these antiquated retirement policies that you're going on. That's a huge chunk of change for an item that we hardly ever use. We looked at the possibility of buying a used one ourselves? Maybe Naperville has a 7-year-old one they want to get rid of for 300 grand. Let's send this back to committee. We have not thought this one through.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions from the public regarding this item? Let the record reflect there are none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 17, Trustee Brady.
Once again, I want the board to consider approval for the purchase of a fire engine that the amount of $584,482, excuse me.
Second.
Second?
Second. Go ahead, Bill.
The proposed purchase is for a new fire engine to be added to the fleet of the fire department for the village. The proposed purchase would replace a 2000 vehicle held as a reserve. Due to the age of the reserve engine, it's approaching the end of its service life for the fire department. As historically been practiced with major equipment purchase for the fire department, one of the new engines would share between the village of Tinley Park and the Tinley Park Fire Department Association. The association proposes the 20% fund for the cost of the vehicle, which is $116,896. The new engine will be purchased through the Houston-Galveston Area Council Purchasing Cooperative. Items purchased through the cooperative have been subject to a competitive building process before they are offered to the members of the municipal conference. Funds for the village share for this purchase were budgeted and available for current fiscal year budget. The Tinley Park Fire Department Association has already approved their share of the funding. The item was discussed on the August 8th and the Public Safety Committee meeting and recommended for approval. We'd like for you to consider approval of purchase of the fire engine for not to exceed $584,482.
Thank you, Bill. Again, another expenditure of funds. Any comments or questions from the board? I would just ask the chief if you could please express to the association our gratitude for their investment into their apparatus and their frontline vehicles. Mike, you get something?
Yes, I had a question. Chief, I was wondering, can you explain what is our maintenance program on these engines?
Maintenance for the bulk of our fleet is handled through a contractual agreement that we share with the Mokina Fire Protection District. Each of the apparatus have a very aggressive preventive maintenance program as well as an emergency service maintenance program. And I believe that in general that has extended the life of this, all of the apparatus that we have by a certain number of years based on the TLC that each of our pieces of apparatus get by both the Public Works Department here in the village as well as through our cooperative agreement with the Mokina Fire District.
Is it based on months? What's the...
It depends on the apparatus. There's a mileage frequency for certain elements of the service repair. There's also a regular routine maintenance that's based on mileage and some of the wear and tear day-to-day issues that happen to the apparatus as well.
You might want to move the microphone. I'm not sure everybody can hear you.
Thank
You know,
you.
the other thing that really hasn't been discussed as well is, that these vehicles aren't being just used for Tinley Park. We do handle a fair amount of mutual aid cases, as well as now with us being in Mavis. We need to have frontline vehicles that are going to be able to show up to the job and perform to the best of their abilities, not just for Tinley Park residents. Obviously, those are our primary goals, but certainly for the other surrounding communities.
Your Honor, just a minute. Back in May, the chief and I went downtown to a chief conference and elected officials conference down at the Academy in the Chicago Fire Department, and it was quite an experience to see all the trucks, the equipment, listen to different people talk about all the different things, and considering what the chief has managed to do with the association himself, I wanted to applaud the chief for being able to get this equipment darn near for the price of what one was budgeted for us. So I commend you, Chief, and your staff for being able to get the funds and all to put it together. I applaud you. Thanks for saving us money.
Appreciate it, Bill. Did we open up to the public? Any comments from the public on this item? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Alker?
Yay.
Trustee Panito?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
Trustee Mangan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 18, Trustee Mankin.
I'd like to make a motion considering adopting resolution number 2017R-041 opposing the Cook County sweetened beverage tax.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glatz. Thank you.
On November 10th, 2016, the Cook County Board of Commissioners passed a 1 cent per ounce tax on sweetened beverages effective July 1st, 2017. The cost of a 99-cent can of soda increases to $1.11 and a 20-ounce bottle from $2.19 to $2.39. This tax covers all carbonated soft drinks, whether sweetened with sugar or substitutes, sports drinks, energy drinks, and fruit drinks that are not 100% fruit juice. This tax will have a significant negative impact on the financial well-being of all Cook County residents and will hurt retailers in the Cook County portion of Tinley Park. This resolution expresses the village board's opposition to the Cook County beverage tax and was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting that was held on Tuesday, August 8th, 2017.
Appreciate it, Mike. For those that aren't aware, we did have a discussion, as Mike just mentioned. This is kind of being spearheaded by Cook County Commissioner Sean Morrison. The attorney prefaced it by, we cannot opt out of this as much as we'd like to. I have expressed some same issues that the commissioner kind of brings forward to the president of Cook County. Tinley Park's in a kind of a difficult situation simply because we're a collar county to Will County. So it does have an unfair playing field for several of our retailers. So we will continue to fight for them, as well as our residents who like to indulge in a sports drink or a pop of some sort. So I appreciate the board considering this item this evening. This is up for adoption. Are there any comments from the board? Would you like to add anything to this?
Just in the interest of full disclosure, I do work for the county and will be abstaining from this vote.
Appreciate it, Mike. Any comments or questions from the public on this resolution adoption this evening? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Alker?
Yay.
Trustee Panito is abstaining. Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
Yes.
Trustee Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 19, Trustee Mangan.
I'd like to make a motion to consider a motion to enter into a professional services agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Ellers and Associates, Inc. to research the eligibility for establishment of a downtown TIF district in the amount not to exceed $50,000.
We have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
This agreement will provide for professional services for a TIF eligibility study, redevelopment plan, and qualifications to assist the Village of Tinley Park in the development of a tax increment financing district for downtown. The initial phase of this agreement provides for a TIF feasibility study, which will enable the village board to determine if they wish to continue and implement the TIF district. If the village does not proceed, the contract will end at the feasibility stage with no further commitment of the village. This agreement was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting held on August 8th, 2017.
Appreciate it, Mike. And Mr. Paz, you'll have your moment. We have a representative from Elders here, I think. Is there anything you'd like to add to the discussion portion before we enter conversation? I know we'll probably have a study. You're just here to answer questions? Perfect, thank you. Any comments or questions from the board at all regarding this item?
I'd just like to comment, I think everybody wants a vibrant, successful downtown. I realize that it's going to take some help from the village to make that happen. However, I've been in favor of a different solution, something out of the box perhaps, where the money went to businesses directly rather than developers. Therefore, I'm against this.
Thanks, Mike. Any comments or questions from the public? Mr. Foss, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Trustee Panito, for opposing this. I certainly oppose this. I oppose this on two grounds. There's three things that I really can't stand over the last year and a half. TIFs, consultants, text amendments that benefit a project down the road. This covers two of them. The first two I mentioned, it's a TIF and it's a consultant. You can make your arguments on the TIF. I understand that. But what I really can't stand, this would be TIF number 6. Am I correct, Brad?
It would be the 6th TIF that is being created, but at least one TIF would go away.
Well, no, I understand that that's the whole impetus of this. We don't want TIFs to go away. You want to keep them rolling. TIFs forever. Can't ever go without your TIF. So here we are on TIF number 6, and we don't know how to do them by now. We got to get a consultant to do them. I mean, have we not learned in the whole process of these TIFs of how to do them? Do we need them? I really can't stand the fact that you guys can't even come up on your own whether you need it or not. You need a feasibility study that could go up to 50 grand to make a decision whether we should go forward with the TIF. You can't even make the decision to think about going for a TIF without getting a consultant. Never mind the fact that, and believe me, I'm going to start going back and really digging in on how the money moves around in these TIFs. And I've cited examples in the past of money we've blown on TIFs, of where it goes. And we don't have to go back in ancient times. We had a TIF last year, for the Freedom Pond, the Freedom Hole, as I like to think of it, because it's about 600 square feet of water. Not much of a pond if you've been going by there. But anywho, that $5.2 million for a little hole. And, the pond ain't even done. I'm using that in some severe air quotes here. And now we need another one, which is frustrating. But like I said, the fact that you guys need to go get a consultant, you should know. You should have somewhere buried in your list of things like, okay, this is what we have to do for a TIF checklist. Does, this, and this. You should have this down by now. We're on TIF number 6. It's very, very frustrating. That's $50,000 that could go to a fountain or something else because you guys don't even know how to go about getting a TIF. Very frustrating. So yes, I'm opposed, and I'm glad you are too, Trustee Panito.
Thanks, sir. Is there some follow-up there from staff?
Yeah, basically, it's a legal requirement you have to have a TIF feasibility study to make sure that it's an eligible TIF. So I would say, hiring somebody like Ellers is pretty much what almost every municipality would do. Either there's Ellers or other groups. And again, I think Maureen would be happy to talk about some of the processes involved. But this
so it's
is
a legal
not,
requirement based.
Yeah, it's not something we could do in staff.
So,
yeah.
So you can't do it by the village. You have to go to a consultant. That's part of the statute.
To determine the legal requirements, you need to have somebody who's an outside expert. Yeah, this is not something you would do internally.
There's your answer.
Well, I can't blame you on that one. It's very frustrating that obviously, I'm assuming it's an Illinois state statute.
Are there any other comments from the public regarding this item?
Yes, as we've seen recently in the city of Chicago, and I know oftentimes our board likes to say, well, we benchmark Chicago, and well, Chicago is doing this, and Chicago is doing that, and so we need to be like Chicago, and we need to do this too. Well, I think we saw recently with the way the mayor of Chicago redirected $55 million in TIF funds to the well-off Navy Pier, instead of directing it to the blighted neighborhoods where it was supposed to go. It's really clear that the danger and the risks of TIFs being abused is way too high, and also the state of Illinois right now is, as they are looking at the funding of education, they're looking at cities who have taking the money from their left pocket and putting it into the right pocket via these TIFs and saying, oh, well, we're broke, so we need more money from the state. The state's getting wise on these TIFs, how they end up cheating taxpayers in the rest of the state. And we need to look at that. If, God forbid, we go through another TIF, let's make sure that the consultants don't try to sweep that under the rug in the consideration. TIFs, too much risks, it's bad for the taxpayers, bad for the school districts. No.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Just a short comment. If we're going to use that clock, shouldn't we use it for every speaker?
Is it not being used for every speaker?
Just another short comment.
just did that during the public comment.
It's for all comment from the public, sir. But
Just another
Mr.
short
Clement, can
comment
you just
about the
verify that's
TIFs,
not for
Mayor.
every- Thank you. Mr. Zollner, go ahead.
Okay, with the TIFs, so far we've brought in over $72 million in TIF funds. With the Oak Park Avenue TIF, we brought in over $60 million. That's the convention center TIF. That's the TIF that's running out in 2018. Okay, once this runs out, about 68% of revenues will leave Tinley Park. That means 68% approximately we'll never see again of these revenues. That's 68% of $60 million for the next 23 years. We will not see. Okay, the southeast portion of Tinley Park, which includes a music theater, warehouses, car dealerships, hotels, convention centers, and so on. That's a cash cow for District 227. Okay, I believe it's critical that this revenue stream from the TIF continue. If the development in Main Street is expected to succeed, along with the developments of Panduit, which would benefit District 228, we could build a cash cow for District 228 using these funds, along with the mental health center, which would benefit District 230. I believe it's critical that we go ahead and approve this TIF. Like I said, this is a unique TIF. It is on the border of our village. That's where the funds are coming from. Once this TIF expires, it leaves Tinley never to come back, them funds. It goes to a different district. Okay, this is a very unique TIF. It's not like our other TIFs. And I believe it should be studied. And the village should really consider of approving it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public for item number 19? Let the record reflect there are none. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes. Or no? No.
Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 20, Trustee Mangan.
I'd like to make a motion considering authorizing the renewal of the village's health and dental insurance policy.
Second?
Thank you, Mike.
Go ahead.
This action would authorize the renewal of the village's health and dental insurance contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois effective October 1st, 2017. The proposed renewal by Blue Cross Blue Shield reflects an increase of 3.5% for health insurance. The dental insurance renewal reflects a decrease of 6.5%. The village has anticipated an increase in the current budget for the insurance renewal, and these renewal rates are less than the anticipated and favorable to the budget. This item was discussed at the Special Finance Committee meeting today and was recommended for approval.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mangan. Any comments or questions from the board?
Mike, I just want to tell you thanks for all the work you did on that.
Thanks.
You've finished a lot of meetings.
Thanks.
Very good. Any comments or questions from the public? Let the record reflect there is none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 21. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider adopting ordinance number 2017-0-049, amending Title 11, Chapter 112, Section 112.22 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code for the addition of one Class AV liquor video license for the Ashford House located at 7959 West 159th Street. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Our applicant this evening is from the Ashford House. This item was discussed, I believe, at your Finance Committee
Yes.
2 weeks ago, Mike?
Yes.
We have a long-standing business here in Tinley Park. They've requested this as a additional source of revenue to offset some of the inflation costs of doing business. I think if I hit it on the head. Apparently, obviously, this is, again, I will reiterate every time we come up with these video gaming things, it's a difficult subject for most of us to discuss. Obviously, we'd like not to see this happen in our community, but to keep in mind that the monies generated from this that are earmarked for special events in our downtown area, and they help offset some of our budget restraints on keeping those events free for our residents. So it can be viewed as a distasteful thing, but I think it does offset at the end when it comes to our special events. I know we have our applicants in the audience this evening. I'm not sure if did you speak at the committee meeting? I wasn't present. Is there anything I'm missing, I should say?
There's a need to or not.
Okay, there isn't. Is there any comments from the board, I guess?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is for the gaming, we create these caps and we just keep raising it and raising it and raising it. We need to set a cap, I think, and leave it at the cap. And Trustee Mangan and I have got together a lot on this, on some of the machines that aren't doing as well. And we're working on something, but I believe we need to raise the fees for some of these machines. And I think we need to put a cap and stick to it. They're all over Tinley now. Now we're moving out west. So.
My comment on this would be that in these two cases, we got, I think, very, I would look at the restaurants that are involved today as people that have been in our town for 16 and 20 years, have a huge value of what they bring to the town. The restaurants are excellent restaurants. The value is we want to give it to people. And in these cases, especially these two today, I think they're qualified individuals that have really done well for the village as well as, so I think these two meet the criteria that I would suggest.
And I also wanted to comment, I think these are both great businesses, without a doubt. I love the stuffed peppers at Rocco's. I also think you're both great assets to the village, but generally speaking, I'm against the rampant spread of gambling. I guess if it has to be, and that's to explain my vote, but if there has to be a gambling license, I prefer that it go to a long-standing business that makes our town better, or to develop properties that otherwise would sit vacant. I just wanted to say that. So, great businesses. Sorry for, not being a proponent of gambling.
Thanks, Mike. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public regarding this item?
Yeah, I know that I go contrary to most of Tinley Parkers on this, at least judging from Facebook comments, but I'm a big fan. Sticking the revenue stream. I believe that Trustee Mangan in one of the finance meetings, this is the one thing that actually is increasing revenue-wise in Tinley Park right now. So whether you like it or not, this is the one thing that's going up in revenue. So I know a lot of you guys don't like it, and then to what was said about the businesses, they're excellent businesses, and they're just trying to maintain a competitive advantage with the other restaurants in Tinley Park and the surrounding area. So I'm a big fan of this, and maybe going forward, if we're going to keep approving them, and maybe we make an ordinance to set aside money for various things to improve the downtown. Maybe so you don't need a TIF. Let's redirect money from the gambling fund. There's other ways to support the downtown without a TIF, and maybe redirecting funds from these gambling licenses is the way to do it. So, anyways, I am for this. Thank you, guys.
And Mike, and that's why I said about raising the fees. We have some businesses that are making $400,000 or $500,000 a year on this, and we're getting back 15, 20 on that. I mean, it works out very well for them, and we get a very small piece. We should raise the fees.
The fees that they pay to get the machines initially, the $1,000, I believe it is.
$1,000 per machine.
Is that an annual, or is that just a one-time?
Every year.
Annual.
What are the ramifications if they don't pay? Let's say on year number 3.
They have to remove the machines.
Yeah, they'll get a license.
Who removes the machines,
Well,
though?
they won't have a license to operate them, so that
But that doesn't stop people from doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Are you suggesting?
The
that there's
gaming
some-
board, yeah.
The Illinois State Gaming Board is all over this. It's very,
We would work cooperatively with the gaming board to have the devices shut off and removed.
I could also add, if somebody is operating without video gaming machines, they'd be subject to violation of the Tinley Park Liquor Code, which could lead to fine, revocation, or suspension or revocation of their liquor license.
Okay, just so there's something that if they decide they just don't feel like they should have to pay anymore, they don't get to get a free pass on it.
thank you. Any other comments? Let the record reflect there is none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
No.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
No.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 22, at this time I'd ask for motion to consider adopting ordinance number 2017-0-050, amending Title 11, Chapter 112, Section 11222 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code for addition of one Class AV liquor video license for Rocco's Little Italy at 7907 West 159th Street. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Again, same scenario. We have a long-standing restaurant business here in Tinley Park. As Trustee Panito pointed out, they have delicious food and great atmosphere. Again, same thing. The applicant came to the Liquor Commissioner's office requesting this based off of running their business model and trying to keep the prices at a reasonable rate for their customers. Obviously, with inflation, and we already discussed the liquor, the soda tax, so they're competing with those things. This is to offset some of the additional expenses that are out there for them. I know Rocco's here. If there's anything we've missed on this, I think that it's been well discussed at our committee meeting. Any questions from the board on this item?
Yeah, again, I mean, I forgot for Ashford, sorry. Great, both of them great restaurants. But I just, we have caps and we just keep increasing them. I think we need to stick to it. And I'm just not a fan of the gaming.
Any other comments? Thank you. Any comments from the, go ahead, Brad.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to add that when we set the licensing fee, we did a survey around the area of other communities that were charging licensing for the video gaming, and we set it at the highest level of any municipality that we found.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I guess I'd understand the reason for the increase of the license if that's what the board's will is, but I mean, I don't know if that's supposed to be a deterrent or a distraction for business owners to do that. I mean, we need to take into account that these business owners are trying to make it, and you know, I don't know, the couple $100,000 one that Trustee Glatz brings up, that is a little bit of an eye opener for me. I haven't been aware of that. I speak to the business owners on this all the time, and that's a lot of money. But the village is receiving a fair portion as well as the state. And again, it's nice that we have these earmarked for these good events. And you know, gambling is what it is. And I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. I'm not a proponent of it, but it is a revenue source that we have. People are spending money on it. So I understand your point, though.
We actually do take it. We have one that Mike and I were looking at that they're losing money. So, like we were talking, we're going to work on it more and try and bring it to a committee where we cap it, and people that, you know, are meeting it, maybe they shouldn't have the machines, and we could give it to like a Rocco's or Ashford House in the future. Ashford House already got approved, but stick to the cap. And some of them, like Mike and I found, they're losing money. There's one that was losing money. So there's, you know, it's actually hurting them than helping them. You know, we looked up Midlothian, we looked up Crestwood, and Oak Forest, I believe, and we compared them to ours.
Very good. Thank you. Any comments from the public regarding this item? No?
Yeah. You know, I think people are going to gamble, so if a business is losing money on the gambling, they should be able to decide for themselves if they should get rid of the gaming, you know, slot machine or whatever. rather than the village decide. So, gambling machines are going rampant all over the place. You can see the casinos in Joliet prospering very well. So we should take a part of it, and it does help the business. And some of these businesses need extra revenue to survive. And as long as they're willing to pay your fees of the whatever taxes you put on it or whatever, they should be allowed to decide for themselves if they should do it. And if Rocco's, he does have great food. If he's got room in that place, which I never seen a spot where he can put one of these machines anyway, because there's never any room in there, or it's always jam-packed. But I think he should be allowed to do it, and there shouldn't really be a cap. If the businesses, want to pay your fees, let them do it and let them decide if it's good for them or not. So.
Maybe they're not aware that they're losing money too, so that's the other thing.
Well, they'll realize it sooner.
Those are doors. Very good. Any comments, any further comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker?
Yay.
Trustee Panito?
No.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Glatz?
No.
Trustee Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 23, received comments from the board and staff. I'd like to just make a general comment before I turn it over to the chief. There's no doubt that we're all aware of some issues that took place over the weekend in Tinley Park, and it's alarming, to say the least. I just want to reiterate, that we have the men and women of the Tinley Park Police Department and all the commanders and those that are assisting. They're doing everything they can to bring the perpetrators to justice. And I want to commend them for that. I'd like to continue to talk them up and give them all the resources that they need to make sure that everyone in this community is comfortable and safe. So that being said, I'd like to just turn it over at this time to Chief Newbar.
Thank you. Regarding the home invasion that occurred on August 12th in the 8,000 block of Potawatomi Trail, I personally and the members of the police department recognize the ruthlessness of this crime and the effect it's had on the victims, their families, and the community at large. To that end, members of the police department are working tirelessly to identify and arrest those responsible. We have enlisted the help of the Cook County State's attorneys, the FBI, ATF, and various other police agencies, and the security departments of various cell phone providers. All leads are being aggressively followed up. As police chief, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for all of our residents to lock their homes and their cars, leave outside lights on, and call 911 immediately to report suspicious autos and suspicious persons. Everyone needs to be a diligent partner in their personal safety.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I would, Jake. I'd like to address the families who were victims of this armed home invasion this past Saturday night. Today I met with the family where the home invasion occurred as I listened to their concerns, and actually a detective was there. This was a terrible crime, and I am very sorry that this has happened to you. All of you and your families have constantly been in my thoughts and prayers these last few days. And please know that as a community, we are all here for you. Do not hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything, as I personally know some of the families that were involved. With that being said, I would like to discuss, we need to change our cameras. I think we need to, we need better cameras at 183rd and Harlem. I believe we need to also put some cameras at 183rd and LaGrange. And we need to protect, we've had some problems with the hotels. We need to change that camera that's at 183rd over there by the Wendy's. I really think that we need to secure that area better. And I would like to ask Public Works if they could look into that, and if that's possible, if I could ask for that to work on getting us prices for this, because time is of the essence. I don't think we can put a dollar amount on these families. So, thank you.
I think it's a reasonable question. certainly, that your ask, I think, that could certainly be done. I know that last year during budget discussions, we did add plenty of money to the line item for the addition and replacement of cameras, if I remember correctly.
It was $100,000 for Brookside Marketplace.
Looks like you've done your diligence.
Yes, I've had meetings with
So-
the chief many months ago, and this is something that I've politicked for over a year ago, and now we are a year later. Now that I'm on the other side, I would like us to get those cameras as soon as possible.
So I think it probably should be brought before the Public Safety Committee. So Bill, if you guys could talk that over with staff, get that on an agenda as soon as possible. Get moving forward.
I think most of the village residents would be behind that.
Thank you.
There's serious outrage over what's going on.
We-
Glad you guys addressed that.
We do have cameras. I went into 911 center and I've looked at them, and even during the daylight, it's very, very difficult to see a license plate.
And I think when we talked about it months ago, we were trying to get something that would get license plates as well.
Yeah, we need license plate recognition cameras installed as soon as possible.
But as the chief said, the citizens have to do their part as well, locking their cars. Don't leave valuable things in your car that people can see, okay? That those things do happen. They walk out, find a car that's open, and they take anything out of it. So, yeah, we need to lock up and watch what's going on. That's for sure.
I think, too, just on that same thing, I know there were people who are members of that alert system. I don't know if we maybe need to revise that, because I think sometimes some of the folks weren't getting it, so we need to look at that as well.
Well, looks like you got a lot on the public safety side here over the next couple of weeks.
Well, yes, the chief and I have been working on, and see Karen in the back there, concerning the Neighborhood Watch program, trying to revise that and get that going again as well. Even more of a reason for it now.
Very good. Anything else from the public, or pardon me, from board or staff?
I just want to mention, we've had some discussions internally about our notification systems too, which I think we could also bring to the committee too, and talk about ways to change that.
Thank you. Item number 24, receive comments from the public.
Trustee Brady, on July 26th, were you on Mayor Vandiger's party bus?
No, I was not.
Trustee Glatz, on July 26th, were you on Mayor Vandenberg's party bus?
No.
Trustee Pinito, on July 26th.
No.
Clerk Therian, were you on the party bus on July 26th?
No, I was not.
Trustee Mangan, were you on the party bus on July 26th?
No.
Trustee Berg, were you on the party bus on July 26th?
No.
Trustee Yonker, were on the party bus July 26th?
It's not village business, but if you need to know, yes.
Okay, is there any reason you didn't stop Mayor Vandenberg from exiting the bus?
It's not village business, so I'm not going to discuss it with you, Mr. Stuckley.
Okay. It's not village business. Okay, Attorney Conley, were you on the party bus July 26th?
I was, sir.
Okay, so Jake said he was family and friends, so you're basically a friend.
I hope I consider myself a friend with everybody.
Okay, you don't consider that conflict of interest?
That I am friendly with everybody on this board? No, I do not, sir.
Okay, Mayor Vandenberg, you made a statement that after the FOIA comes out, it will show that a lot of the rumors were not true, but the FOIAs actually show a lot of more of your disturbing and troubling behavior. Mayor Vandenberg, did you go straight home after the party bus dropped you off?
Mr. Stuckley, we're not going to get involved in this again. It's not village business, but continue.
Okay.
You have your time.
There's a FOIA out, a FOIA video that shows you at the police department at about 1 o'clock in the morning on July 27th. About a minute, luckily you were going in and then coming back out. So if it's not village business, it's my business or the residents' business. Mr. Vandenberg, please don't embarrass our town or your family business anymore. And I believe you should step down.
Thank you.
Rumor has there's still more to come out, and maybe being swept under the rug.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hi. I've been a resident for 37 years, just so you're aware. I'm a biker. And Tinley's getting better in bikes, but at 175th and 167th, when you cross those roads, the cars don't stop. And I just want the board to be aware that maybe something should be in the middle of that. The other problem is at 171st. You have Benton housing, and kids are crossing there. And you might want to look at a flashing yellow that turns red or something when a bike or, you know, I know it costs money, and I know we're talking about money, but we're also talking about lives, and you've got a huge complex there, and it's going to be a problem. It's the end of summer, but boy, I'll tell you, fall, spring, that thing's being used a lot. And so I think you should be aware of it. Secondly, I believe there's an ordinance in Tinley that between the hours of 2 and 5, there is no parking on the street. Is that correct? Is there an ordinance or law in Tinley?
Yes.
Well, yeah, except here's the thing. It's not being enforced. I'm old. Well, no, that's not good, personally. And please, keep your comments to yourself. No, well, really.
Sir, Mr.
Here's the
Claus.
thing. Last night, 3 in the morning, I'm old, I get up. You know what, I decided to take a drive. There's 22 cars in my subdivision parked on the street. 22. So nobody's obeying it. Now, I find it irritating because, quite honestly, I'm obeying the law, and they aren't. And I find it irritating. If we have a law on the books or an ordinance, enforce it. I don't like to see cars on the street because, quite honestly, I don't know who they are. And when they've been parked overnight, that's the problem. Third, there's a path around Centennial Lake. 2 years ago, Bob Heenan died. I don't know whether you know Bob Heenan. He was a teacher at Grissom for 25 years. He was the cross-country coach. My daughters had him, and he passed away from cancer. And if you go out now, not tonight, but after school, those kids are still running that trail. And I don't know what it takes for the board. We name parks and everything for politicians and everybody else. But it'd be nice to maybe name that trail after Bob Heenan, because he was a great guy. He really was. And he coached a lot of kids for 25 years at Grissom. Thank you very much.
Sir, if you would, before you leave tonight, if you could meet with the chief and maybe pass along your information, you guys could have some dialogue on a couple of those issues. And then
Okay.
I would also, I mean, this was a good night because the Park District Director is here.
I
and the
understand.
Centennial, so
And,
if you could
you
grab
know-
his card, and I'm sure he could bring that to their board.
No problem.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here tonight because my son was one of the victims in Saturday's home invasion. We're extremely grateful that the family and the teenage boys that we're visiting are all alive and well to tell about it. As we now try to deal with the emotional and the psychological repercussions of all of this, I've become extremely frustrated with the emergency response team's actions or lack thereof. My son was pistol whipped 3 times in the back of his head. As a result, he had blood going down his neck and his back. The EMT called us to let us know that he had a head injury, but gave us no further information. When my husband got there, my son, a minor, was in the ambulance by himself. Nobody was with him. Who leaves an injured child alone after such trauma? The EMTs need more training on this, especially when they're dealing with children. Another concern is that the police officers on the scene did not have the kids call home. It was not until another parent showed up because she read what happened on social media and she let the kids use her phone to call home. Why don't the police officers each have a phone for public use? If they find that someone is stranded or needs to call home, what happens? Why didn't they even consider the fact that these minors should be calling their parents? In addition, why is there only one detective on this case? This one detective is currently working on other cases as well. This is all of your resources? You just said you're using all of your resources. One detective that has 2 other cases he's working on is all your resources. One of the boys found out that his phone was turned on and located it in Indiana. When the police department was contacted about this, they simply left a note on that one detective's desk. The phone was on at that time. We understand jurisdiction and that the police can't run over to Indiana, but they could have contacted the police there in that town. And this isn't about our phones. This is an opportunity to catch the culprits, an opportunity that was missed. Is this how you're trying to solve this aggressively? Some people were blaming the police for not protecting us better, but I defended the police. The police are reactive in nature. They respond to what happens. However, the police's initial response to this robbery is not what one would expect. Maybe there needs to be more training on how to respond to these types of situations. God knows they seem to be happening more and more often around here. The subpar response sends a message to these criminals that they can keep coming back. The village officials, however, are the ones that need to be proactive. What are you doing to prevent future home invasions? Sadly, it seems that the mayor is more interested in how he can benefit from his position. But what are the rest of you doing trying to protect us? We need more street lights. We need more police officers visible. Maybe instead of that fire truck, you spend that money on getting more cops. Please don't try to reassure us that Tinley Park is safe, because it's obviously not. We're all susceptible to be victimized, just as my son, his friends, and the Jum'ah family have been. And we've had enough of the talk. We need action, we need change, and we need you guys to make us feel safe again. Thank you.
I had planned to come to this meeting tonight to speak to you, the board, what I now feel is housekeeping issues. I had planned to speak in the disapproval as a taxpayer on the mayor's recent action and the offsetting effects that we're spending money to bring new businesses in here. I had planned to ask why we have wasted millions of dollars on legal fees. And nobody's concerned that our attorney was with the mayor on a bus doing illegal, unlawful things according to the ethics code. I don't even know if we have an ethics department here anymore. I'm sure we don't. I called to talk to you today, but I wanted to ask Sad at this meeting about why we can't back up a list of assets that we report on our balance sheet in a year. We can't back up what's in our in-process, construction in-process accounts on the balance sheet. That concerns me deeply. I'm concerned that I received the response from Mr. Bentonhausen when I asked him a question that he wanted to make sure I understood, that he is not required to explain things to me, the taxpayer. I have volunteered for this village because I thought we were a community trying to make improvements, truly make improvements here. I give up time from my family to attend these meetings that I now believe are phony meetings, because things have already been planned. Unfortunately, I stand here today with my friend because our boys were terrorized. Please do not believe what you hear in the paper. Guns were put to their heads. They were forced to the ground. People were beat. The father was thrown down the stairs, and our kids saw the gunman and tried to react. I think about the waste and the money that these village officials who promised us with speeches that you're going to keep us safe. These are kids that they played baseball. They're Bobcats. They're on the football team. If you hit that button, don't hit it. Because I'm a mother that's about gonna lose it.
Turn off the timer.
Please turn off the timer. Should be on.
I know. I'm gonna go back to reading my speech. Unfortunately, I stand before you today after my son was a victim of a violent crime, an event he shared with a group of friends I watched grow up, and I've come to love. This is a place that was their second home. This is where they hung out. This is where the garage door was always open, and they would eat, and Mrs. Juma would feed them. No, I don't believe you put all your resources into this, sir. I don't believe until this happened that anything was even thought about. Chicago is cleaning up their streets, thank God for those parents. But those criminals, where do they go? Are they gonna go to jails? Is Chicago gonna put them in jails, or is the state broke? And we're gonna worry about them coming here to our streets because we're the target. We're weak. We're weak. I want to ask you, Mr. President, to look into, are we covered? Have we planned for this? Are we ready? Are we ready for the gangs? Masked men with guns came in and terrorized a family with children. I'm going to thank Mr. Glatz for the peace that I think you understand you gave so many of us. And the police, individuals. I'm not blaming the policeman. I'm not blaming the detective. I'm blaming either this board or the previous one or whoever else got greedy and didn't put the money where it should be. Our streets should be prepared. The police knew this was coming. I called the police station. Was it you I spoke with?
I believe so.
I wanted reassurance. I called a lot of people. You told me and others that you thought the village understood how dangerous this was, that we need to close our doors because people are putting guns to our heads. Gangs are gonna, mistakes were made, and we know that. Tips, hot tips were missed. I called and gave information that kids got from their phones, and it was left and not followed up on. It happened, and I believe you know. I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't believe we are prepared. I don't believe we have the people in place, the training. Something is not there. I won't get into the details because they know why I called and why I complained. I don't believe things were handled correctly. I don't believe they were handled efficiently. I don't believe there's resources at the disposal when something like this happens to our detectives. I don't believe it. And I'm going to ask you to look into it immediately before this happens to your kids. And you feel how I feel. I'm not naive to think that crime doesn't happen. I'm not. I've been a victim. I understand more than anybody how life can change on a dime. But I expect nonsense to stop in this village for anything but the safety. I don't know about fire trucks. I don't know when they're needed. I agree. I don't like what I hear. I don't know if we know if they're on an asset listing and if we know how long they are or the value of them. I don't believe we do. Everything I look into. The day after the election, I asked each of you as board members, and I'm sure you remember my thing, to vote as individuals, to stand up here as people because you are responsible for your neighbors and vote with what you're supposed to be voting for, the people that you promised you would protect, and not the benefits that you can get out of something else. No parent should have to feel what I'm feeling. No parent should have to go through this. And I'm going to rely that you're going to redirect, as I don't believe until somebody else complained there was a redirection of resources. But what about if that next victim doesn't have somebody looking out for them? Are we going to know that this happened? I don't believe so. I now beg each and every one of you to find it where you're supposed to be and make decisions, because they are affecting lives. These are not games, and it is not about what you can get. Remember why at one point I'm sure you got into this for the right reasons. And I'm begging you to look into the resources that the police have. I don't believe we've given the men and women to protect us what they need. I don't believe it, or the direction.
Good evening. I'd like to first ask, Mr. Glotz brought up the LPR license plate recognition cameras. Can they be tied in at 183rd and Harlem to the red light cameras? So is the wiring there for that to be
red
done?
light camera is it's a different program, and that is all permitted by the state, so I believe it would have to be an addition.
Okay. Any idea what the cost would be to put a couple cameras
A
in?
lot.
What's a lot?
A lot. We were looking at license plate eligible readers by Brookside Market at $115,000 by the time we were done. It has to do with the ability to get a signal, to get separate power, and a lot of these things need cement foundations because they're lower to the ground. So unfortunately, none of it's cheap.
Okay. Well, I don't think we can put a price on our safety.
We could probably do some of it ourselves.
You're paying $1 million
Lower
for a
labor.
fire truck. You can't pay $100,000 to save some lives?
We're also looking at the fact the proximity of I-80 is both a blessing and a curse. The bad guys have an easy exit. Jump right on the highway and they're gone. Is it true in our town we don't have our police are not allowed to do a high-speed pursuit?
High-speed pursuit policy allows pursuits. They're very, very dangerous events for a crime of violence, not for a property crime.
So there's a difference, such as if, in this case, had there happened to have been a police officer, and granted, a lot of times it's luck.
Absolutely. It's a pursuable.
Would that's a pursuable? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think the cost is inconsequential compared to the benefits of actually catching these guys. That's their escape route, is right there, always. That's always where it is.
Can I interject a second, please?
Can you do it? Mike, I'm sorry.
With the circumstances that has happened, can we just eliminate the clock for today, please?
Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, so a few numbers. The Tinley Park population is 57,000. We have approximately 16.039 square miles. Our police department consists of 1 chief of police, 2 deputy chiefs, 9 sergeants, 8 investigators, 53 full-time officers, 8 part-time officers, 2 tactical officers. Going west to our nearest neighbor is Orland Park. Their population is approximately 58,800. The square mileage is 22.167. They have 1 chief of police, 1 deputy chief, 3 commanders, 6 lieutenants, 9 sergeants, 3 civilian supervisors, 101 full-time patrol officers, and 7 part-time. I think you can do the math. They're a little bit larger, but they have almost double the force. Therein lies our problem. We do not have enough police officers to keep us safe in this village. It's apparent based on the numbers that we are grossly understaffed. Our officers are being set up to fail through no fault of their own. I have listened to the police scanner for hours since the home invasion. The sheer number of calls to the police on a daily basis is huge. Our officers are dispatched back-to-back-to-back calls over and over again throughout their shifts. On numerous occasions, I heard dispatch being directed to call officers that were on their days off to come in to assist because we were overwhelmed with emergency calls. Because of the police officer shortage, they cannot possibly give the amount of time needed for each case they are assigned. Again, this is through no fault of their own, and they are absolutely doing their best they can under stressful circumstances. In setting these officers up to fail because of the lack of manpower, you are failing to protect the residents of Tinley Park.
That's right.
It is imperative that we hire many more officers so they can serve and protect our community and do their jobs with integrity and compassion. I believe Tinley Park needs to hire at the minimum another 20 to 25 officers in order to properly protect our village and its 57,000 plus residents. I'm going to move to the neighborhood watch. There have been people in this community that have been looking to have this reinstated for quite a time. It's not an option anymore. We're not asking. We are demanding that this be reinstated. You tell us that social media takes care of most of this. No, it does not. I walked my neighborhood. I talked to 10 neighbors. 2 of them had heard about the invasion. I live a block and a half from this invasion. These people did not know it. They're not on Facebook. They're not on social media. They don't watch the news. They don't read the papers. We need more. And yes, it's going to take some coordination and volunteers, but I think this was a wake-up call. And everybody in this village needs to wake up. But most importantly, all of you. We need more police, and that is the only way we are going to let these guys know who keep coming in and breaking into cars and breaking into homes and taking what isn't theirs and terrorizing people in their own homes that we're not going to take it anymore. This is it. And the time is now. You either step up and help us or get out of our way.
I'd just make a comment about staffing. We let last week a request for proposal for a staffing study, which is actually a very complicated study that looks at call service, response times, beats, all those things, and to get a professional outside look at what we possibly need by the way of staffing. So that is out there.
Chief.
Did you have to hire a consultant, pay him $50,000 for that too?
Is there a timeline on that? And my follow-up question would be, was the last time, pardon me, excuse me, one at a time, please.
Request for
proposal.
proposal.
Timeline on that, as well as when was the last time that this was done?
I have no idea the last time it was done before my tenure. I believe they have till September 15th or September 7th to get the proposals in.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Christensen. I'm the president of Tinley Park JCs. For those of you who may not be familiar with our organization, our mission is to create positive change in our communities. With that said, we'd like to invite the community to come out to Sound Growler Brewing on Wednesday, August 23rd, from 7 to 9 p.m. We'd like your thoughts on issues in the community that we can possibly work to solve, and we'd like to talk a little bit to you about how you can become active in our organization and help us with our mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
So strange to go so late in the process. Rarely, usually I go first, so I actually heard a lot, and I wanted to. The point was brought up about the parking ban, which obviously I'm not a fan of. But you know what? I'm glad it's not enforced, because let me tell you, every second that a cop is enforcing that is they are not driving around on the side streets of Tinley Park. You have to get out. You have to look and see if it's. So what needs to happen in Tinley Park, and look, first of all, let's state a couple things. Tinley Park is big. Nancy just pointed out it's 16.04 miles. Take out Google Earth and take the distance tool out sometime. You'll be surprised how many miles of streets there are in Tinley Park. I think, Brian, you would probably know the most, because when Public Works and how much you got salt, it's got to be close to 400 miles, right? Yeah. 400 miles of streets in Tinley Park, everyone. 400. Okay? you would have to have every single car that you have constantly going on those side streets to even approach to have the deterrent effect that you would need. And you want to go and ticket people that have their car on the street at night. You're going to waste valuable time. All this crime is happening probably in that 2 to 5 span. And you're going to waste time on that? The overnight ban needs to go. I don't want one cop spending 1 second getting out of their car, writing a ticket on that, when clearly we need the deterrent force driving around constantly covering those 400 miles, okay? So let's redirect the limited resources, which Nancy so eloquently pointed out, to actually getting those cars on the street. I swear to God, if I see one cop running radar now and not driving, I'm going to document it, take a picture, be like, yeah, here's a cop, not driving the side streets, just looking for, speeder. That ain't going to happen no more. Well, you probably will still do it. Who are we kidding? But I think it would behoove you to redirect your resources to the side streets at Tinley Park where the cops should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, if they're there, they could ticket the people who were parked.
Well, they could.
Your comment was...
Well, actually,
Sir.
see, I want to know who's on my block. And if they're in the driveway, then they're on the
Sir,
block.
there could be conversation. There could be conversation after the meeting. Thank you. Is there any other comments from the public?
I'd just like to remind the village board the history there on the time clock. When it was originally passed, it was passed with an understanding that when we have a very passionate resident who has something very, very important to speak about, as you did, that we were not going to enforce that clock. And I want to thank Trustee Glotz for asking for it to be turned off during other important commenters here. Certainly I won't have any grudge if you go ahead and put the clock on me. I don't have anything anywhere near as important as what you had to discuss. Really quick here, 163rd and Oak Park Avenue, the pedestrian crossing there. I thought there used to be a sign there. I don't see it anymore. I don't know if it got knocked over or removed. The white line there for the pedestrians to cross, it's kind of dissipated there at 163rd and Oak Park, just behind me. If the Public Works Department could look into that, I'd really appreciate it. I'm sure we all understand the importance of traffic safety. And I was really kind of relieved and happy to hear that no traffic deaths or injuries were caused by that allegedly intoxicated concert goer on that night of the Paul McCartney concert. I understand that 5 reports at least were filed on this concert goer, but no citation or ticket was issued. The citizens have a strong preference for equal treatment under the law. We don't give extra special privileges to people just because they're sitting in a certain chair at the village board meeting. Everyone is equal under the law. Trustee Yonker said the concert was a private thing, but we heard that the mayor claimed mayoral privilege. I'm the mayor, I'm coming through. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't violate ethics codes and common sense. Traffic safety is job one after a concert. We've all had to deal with the unpleasantries of waiting in traffic after a concert. And when people get out of their party buses and think they can move around traffic cones, then that just compounds the misery of everybody else waiting in line trying to get out of the lot. The failure of the police department to issue a ticket in this situation, it really makes the police department look bad. And I really hate having to say that because I love my police department, I support my police department, but I mean, you gotta do your job and uphold the law. I called the police department, I wanted to know, well, when is that ticket gonna be issued? When is the arrest gonna happen? When is the citation going to be issued? And I was told that, well, we answered at Village Hall. And I was like, what? I thought you're sworn to uphold the Constitution. You're sworn to uphold our laws. I mean, I could show you the line items on my property tax statement, police, pension, okay? The taxpayers, the residents of this town pay the police salaries. You are answerable to the citizens of this village, not to the village board. I mean, do we have to go to the state or county police department if the Tinley Park Police won't do their job in this matter? You should insist that you be issued a ticket, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to hear what are the trustees' views on upholding traffic laws and giving the mayor or any other village employee special privileges to move traffic cones after a concert on a rainy night. May I start with you, Mr. Trustee Brady? What do you think the mayor should have special privileges to violate things?
I have nothing to say at this point in time. I don't
Okay,
have all the
Trustee
facts.
Glotz?
I don't have all.
4 minutes are up.
Trustee Glotz?
4 minutes are up, aren't they?
With there being an ethics complaint, I would prefer not to comment at this time until you hear the complaint.
Trustee Panito?
4 minutes are up.
It's kind of an odd situation to be put in. What are you suggesting that the ticket be issued for exactly?
Are you saying that traffic or that concert goers are able to
I would
relocate
agree with
the traffic cones at will? Anybody can do that then?
I want the board to be reminded, this isn't a cross-examination. You're not required to respond to questions. This is public comment. So, that being said, keep going, sir.
And if I could interject, Jake, my request for the time was for the families.
Thank you. So is the 4 minutes conclude?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, you guys never started the 4-minute clock again. I encourage you to do it, but you didn't do it.
Turn around and talk to the constituents. They believe it has been.
So, Mr. Mayor, you think you're entitled to extra privileges to move traffic cones? Can't I get some opinions?
4 minutes are over.
Or some input from the trustees that we elected?
Sir, we're moving on.
Was that a yes or a no?
Sir, we're moving on. If you'd like to continue, you're welcome to go outside. I'm sure the police will escort you out.
Would I be allowed to invoke the Vandenberg principle that I shouldn't be arrested for anything less serious than moving traffic cones on a rainy night after our amphitheater concert?
Sir, I've given you ample warning.
We need to do our job.
Thank you. Next.
I have a safety issue about the park at Bentonhausen. There's an exit at Ozark and Nottingham, and there's a lot of kids there going in and out of the park. The neighborhood has changed over to young kids again. And we need to have some maybe stop signs or something put at that corner because the kids kind of just run out on the streets. And there's some high bushes along there, and the cars just don't see them, and I'm worried about some kid getting hit there. Okay. You know, and I'd like to get it taken care of. You know, they've done a traffic study out there before. So, well, we think I don't have enough traffic. Well, it isn't the traffic we're worried about. We're worried about the kids in the neighborhood getting run over.
Understand. Chief,
Sir,
leave our
could you,
traffic
Officer
officers here.
Sanchez in the back, could you give her your name and phone number, and she is the one who will take a look at that for you?
I sure will. I got a couple other things I want to cover.
Sure.
Okay. Besides that, do we have a noise ordinance in this village?
Yes.
For night?
Yes, I believe we do.
Yes, we do. Well, what time is that noise ordinance?
I believe it's 11:30. Chief, I would refer back to you. I don't know.
10 o'clock. Can you inform your officers of this? Because Saturday night at 11:30, the guy 2 blocks away from me still blasting his stereo, and I had called in several times about it. And badge number 33 called me, pardon my language here, called me an asshole that night. Not once, but twice.
Really?
And my wife heard me. And his last name I can't pronounce. His first name is Justin. Or Jason, yeah.
Badge or squad number?
His badge number, his squad number is 15A.
What night of the week was it, sir?
It was Saturday night, about 11:30. I know they had a lot going on Saturday night, but there's no reason for an officer to call a citizen that. No matter how bad at 97. Plus, he kept saying he's going to walk away from me because he didn't like what I was saying. And the other officer stood there. And he's a 2-year veteran, and he needs to go through training again for how to deal with people, I believe. Okay.
If you'd leave Officer Sanchez your phone number, I will take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Let the record reflect there is none. Pardon me? Yeah, we have more. This time I'd ask for a motion to consider adjourning into executive session to discuss the following. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Brady and seconded by Mr. Glotz. Is that it? All in favor? Can you roll call that, please?
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg. Yes. Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
And Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Thank you. We're in executive session. There will be nothing to follow. Thank you very much.